Welcome back to the Garden Girls podcast. I'm Dagny and this is Meg. And today we're going to be talking about water conservation techniques or just kind of how we water our gardens in general, too. I think we both have kind of different issues that we're dealing with. I think Meg tends to get too much rain and I get a little bit not enough rain, even though technically I get more rain than her. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. We just Googled this and we're very confused. But I do deal with water restrictions in my garden from the town water systems. And also, I'm just really lazy and I don't like watering my garden. And that's honestly where a lot of these systems kind of came into play for me and why I use them. So I have a lot more like passive systems that just happen to also help me conserve water. And I think Meg kind of uses more of a, I don't know, like permaculture approach with your mulching and stuff, I'll say. So I
Yeah.
think we'll just dive right into it. Meg, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I do permaculture, so I do a lot of mulching in my beds that don't have irrigation, but my primary source of water is my irrigation system that I have set up pretty much throughout my entire garden. I do have a few beds that I haven't run it to yet, but I have plans to literally just have everything hooked up to irrigation, like even my grow bags and stuff, because I just think irrigation for me, it's the easiest way to make sure that my garden is watered. It saves me so much time, so much effort, like so much everything. I love having an irrigation system. And it also does conserve water because I use drip irrigation. And so you're watering the plants at the base right where they need it. And so water is not being wasted, it's going directly to the roots. And that way you don't have to use as much water. When you're spraying overhead, you're using a lot more water because you're kind of spraying more of a surface area and you're not kind of targeting right where the plants need it unless you are going above and beyond to like make sure that you're doing that a bit. But I think the average person just kind of like does a spray, you know? And it's just like a lot more, there's a lot more volume of water that's coming out, and your plants might not need that much volume of water. So I do think that the drip irrigation would be considered a conservative technique, right? Do you think
Yeah,
so too?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think so. And yours also accounts for when it has rained recently too, right?
Yeah,
Didn't
I
you
have a
say?
timer. I have like a smart timer that it will, if it's raining that day, it won't water the garden and it
That's
knows that it's
amazing.
raining. I know, it's amazing. I love mixing technology and gardening, or technology and beekeeping, technology and chicken keeping. Like, I just love like the mix of the old
Yes.
and the new. I think it's so nice, and it's just, it's easy, it's convenient. And yeah, so I have it set up to, as of right now, it waters my garden about 15 minutes a day, but then on obviously when it's raining, it won't. And I'll also go like it has an app as well that you can control. So if it just rained and I know that the garden doesn't need any water, but the app's not picking that up because it's not actively raining, then I can go on the app and I can say like, don't water it today. That's my primary way that I water. I do have Oyas as well, but they're really just the watering spikes that I have in my container beds. I used the bigger ones before, but then I got rid of those when I put in the irrigation. But I use them for container plants that aren't hooked up to irrigation. I think that they really do help a lot. That's why I have wine bottles in my garden. Everybody's like, why do you have wine bottles in your garden? I'm like, because I just need a glass of wine in the garden, okay?
She's just partying.
I'm just partying in my
Mhm.
garden, but no, it's water in the wine bottles that are hooked up to the watering
Boring.
spikes.
So with the irrigation, I've never actually used this. So like I've just observed it in other people's gardens, but I've wondered like, is that effective when you're just starting seeds, or do you have to surface water when you're doing that? Or is it too like
I like
pointed?
to surface water first as they're getting established,
Okay.
especially with seeds. Like if you're seeding, yes, you do need to surface water.
Okay.
Because they might not target where the seeds need it. But yeah, I don't really have to worry. I'm very privileged here in North Carolina. I don't really have to worry about that because we get so much rain
Mm.
that most of the time I try to do my seeding around nature and when it's going to rain. So I always try to plant seeds right before rain, and then that way I know that they're going to take off really well.
And that's another
Um,
water conservation technique too.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, we like Dagny was saying, she actually gets more rain than me, I guess. Like you get 50, I think it said 51 inches a
51.
year. We get 43 here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and people don't believe me when I say that Charlotte, North Carolina gets more rain than Seattle, Washington. But I think we get more overall rainfall because when it rains here, it absolutely pours. We don't get that like misty kind of rain here.
Drizzle. Yeah.
We get flooding. Like it absolutely, like the bottom just drops out when it rains here. So yeah, we get overall more rainfall. It's very rainy here, especially in the summers. So thankfully, I don't have to worry too much about water conservation. And like I was telling Dagny before we started this, she gets what are the is like you can't water certain
Oh
times
yeah, we get like
and
water restrictions. So our
water
town like
restrictions.
won't let us water during certain peak hours, or like you can't water your lawn at all.
Yeah, we've never had that I know of. Yeah, I've never like really had to give it too much of a thought, but obviously for the environment, I want to conserve water as much as I can. I could be a lot better about it too. I'm definitely not perfect. You have rain barrels, right? Like what's your
Yeah.
what let's go into your watering
Yeah.
techniques.
I do have the rain barrel. I think it's about 50 or 55 gallons, and it kind of looks like an old whiskey barrel, but it's plastic. And that's just a controversial thing. Whenever I talk about the rain barrel online, have you noticed this? Like people will be like, "It's illegal to collect rainwater where I live."
Yeah, what is that
Yeah,
about? Because I've
I
never heard that here.
I don't know. Like it truly doesn't make sense to me. I've tried to Google this, and it's like it seems like there are restrictions on collecting rainwater in certain areas, um, but it's not really enforced. So do with that information what you will. And it seems to be a lot more limited than people kind of let on. Of like, it's not really like this overarching, you may never collect a single drop of rainwater that falls on your roof kind of thing. So it definitely depends on the state that you live in. Obviously, we're talking about North America here. I can't really speak to the whole rest of the world. But every time I show my rain barrel, people are like, I can't do that here. I'm like, who's going to stop you though? Like, I
But
don't.
why would it be illegal to capture rain? I
I
don't.
don't know because if you think about it, it's like, are you really taking that rain from the groundwater to such a degree that it's going to affect the local town water system, like just collecting it off of your roof? Like, how
Oh, is
could
that
that
what it's about? Is
I
that
mean, I think that's
why?
the argument, but I still don't understand how a 50-gallon rain barrel is really going to make a difference in that regard.
I need to look this up really quick
I've
because
tried
I'm
to, and I
so
like can't find a
curious.
conclusive anything.
Why is harvesting rainwater illegal in some places? Okay, this is interesting. This says harvesting rainwater is illegal or restricted in some places due to concerns about water rights, public supply impact, and ecosystem balance. In states with complex prior appropriation water laws, like Colorado, all water, including rain, is legally allocated. That means rainwater is considered part of someone else's water supply, such as downstream farmers or municipalities. Diverting it, even from your own roof, was historically seen as stealing from those with senior water rights. What?
I'm sorry, we can't steal from
I've
clouds.
never heard of water rights.
This is what
Are
I'm
you
saying. So they're
serious?
saying the towns need it. So they need it more, so you can't have it. I'm sorry, they're not collecting it off of your
Are
roof.
you saying that on this earth, on this floating rock in space that we are all stuck on, like even water, it
Is
had
a
like it is
commodity.
not, yeah, even water that falls out of the sky has laws around it? That's that's weird to me. It also says that there's public health and safety concerns. In some areas, officials fear improper storage can create mosquito breeding grounds, spread disease, or lead to unsafe water use without proper filtration. I kind of get that if there's a mosquito-borne virus
So that's
issue.
another thing, yeah, that I get a lot of comments about. But again, it's easily preventable. Most rain barrels are closed in some way, or you can just add BTI to the water. It's harmless and it kills the eggs.
Right.
So
Yeah, you just have to
I
be
just don't.
responsible about it.
Right.
Some places require permits or inspections to ensure tanks are safely installed and not contaminating groundwater. I guess I don't know, I could
I'm
get,
talking about an enclosed 50-gallon rain barrel, not a cistern.
yeah,
Like, I'm not
I could get behind it for like a big one. And maybe if
sure.
it's in an area with a large, mosquito-borne virus issue or something. But yeah, it's just crazy that just collecting rain in a barrel is considered illegal in some places.
Yeah, so we've got that little bit of controversy. And then also people will comment, besides the mosquito thing, like contamination off the roof, right? So that can be from the shingles that are on your roof, and it can also be from any bird poop that was on your roof. Now, this is just kind of a matter of risk, like your comfort level with risk, right? Like the plants are getting watered from rainwater already that could potentially be contaminated in many other ways, even having just come out of a cloud.
Right.
Plants are also pooped on quite
Right.
frequently, and I'm talking direct hits. So I feel like diluting it in rainwater off of a roof, for me, was not that big of a deal. Now, there are kind of ways that you can mitigate this. There's like filtration systems where like the first part of the rainwater will flush out the side of the gutter. It won't actually enter the rain barrel. If you're concerned about that, I don't care. Honestly, I can't make myself care about this. Like it's just like the whole, oh, there's microplastics if you get bagged soil. There's microplastics in everything. It's too late for us. Like we're
It's too
cooked. I
late.
don't know.
Yeah, we are
We are
so
so
cooked.
cooked. So to me, like I'm just doing my little bit here and there, and that involves collecting rainwater in a plastic barrel off of shingles on my roof that may or may not have bird poop and mosquito eggs in them.
I
I don't know.
I could maybe see like getting a filter because I guess the roof shingles, when I think about that, I kind of do think like I guess what chemicals could be running off. I think whenever I do install a rain barrel, I'm just gonna put it off of my greenhouse because my greenhouse is just made out of
Yeah.
polycarb, so there's no shingles or anything. And I have gutters on my greenhouse, so I might just like connect it to my greenhouse to kind of bypass that,
Yeah,
maybe.
that's smart.
But there's a lot of bird poop on my greenhouse, so. But there's a lot of bird poop in my yard anyway. I have chickens,
It's
so
everywhere.
I
Like,
actually make compost out of my bird poop. So, I mean, it is
yeah.
in my garden already, so.
I don't know. It's such a funny thing to me because it is so simple, right? We're talking about putting water from clouds in a bucket
Yeah,
so you can put it in your garden.
right.
And yet I feel like it is the most controversial, complex topic. And like we could probably devote a whole episode to it, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I love to do it. I find it incredibly rewarding. And I also find like it's amazing how much water you can collect in a short period of time. Like I do not have a huge roof. And within like minutes of a regular average rainstorm, the 50-gallon barrel is full,
Wow.
overflowing. And like, I don't know what to do with it. I'm like, I need more rain barrels, but I don't even need that much rainwater. Like, because I really only use it in the early parts and the late parts of the season when I am kind of establishing seedlings and things like that. When I am watering the greenhouse before my hoses are hooked up because it gets cold enough here that we do have to take those off for winter. Do you have to take out your irrigation for winter there? Like, how does that
No,
work?
because it's just so mild here. It doesn't freeze quite enough to do any damage. I've had some
Mm-hmm.
damage actually, but I mean, my irrigation system is going on 4 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had to replace some of the drip tubing in the beds. I just do a check every winter, but the mainline tubing that goes like around my garden, I do have it buried, but only like
Okay.
surface level. Like I don't have it very buried very deeply. I didn't do anything special. I literally just took my trowel and just kind of
Yeah.
buried it under the mulch. But I do have parts of it that are not buried because I got lazy and as I was adding on to it, I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not burying everything. And it was fine.
Sure.
It doesn't freeze here enough, which is
Yeah.
another privilege of North Carolina. It's very mild. You would probably
Yeah, the
have
rain barrel
to
is
like insulate it there for sure.
it is an issue. And technically I should put the rain barrel away every winter as well. Um, the hoses all get shut off, spigots get shut off because they go into the house. And then the rain barrel, sometimes I put it away, sometimes I don't. And the issue there is like it's full of water which would freeze and expand and potentially crack the barrel. It didn't happen last year, but it was very annoying because it got so full that like the gutter above it was dripping. I don't know if this is even an issue where you are, but sometimes like if we get a snowstorm and it's slowly melting, but it's still really cold, like the ice will form like an icicle at the end of the gutter, like the downspout. so it like clogs it, and it was like attaching itself to the rain barrel.
Oh no.
It was not a good situation. I have a video of me with a hammer. Maybe we can like pop it up. But I was literally just like hammering at the ice, and it would like come out of the gutter and like slam down on the rain barrel. I'd have to hit it again. More would come out. Like it was ridiculous.
Oh my God. No, that's not an issue here. I don't even know if I haven't seen an icicle in like 20 years.
Really?
Yeah. When I was
Shut up.
growing up here, I mean, I'm from Statesville, which is like an hour from here. Growing up, we used to get more snow and there would be icicles and stuff, but I swear, like, I haven't seen a good snowstorm here since I was
Yeah.
like 10 or something. I did live in the mountains for 5 years, and we do get snow, a lot of snow in the mountains of North Carolina, which is only like 2 or 3 hours away.
Hmm.
North Carolina has a lot of different microclimates that can be vastly
Elevations.
different. Yeah. But yeah, here in Charlotte, no. Mm-mm. We did get some snow this past year, but it was just like sprinkles, like it was a dusting and then it left. It was pretty.
Wow.
And yeah, that was it.
We definitely do get less snow as well. I mean, climate change is
Yeah,
everywhere, but it's, yeah, we still get our icicles.
that's crazy. I
Lots
would
of
be
ice.
terrified of icicles because that's like a final
Yeah.
destination thing. Like I would just be scared that I would be impaled by one.
Listen, us Northerners, we're built different.
Yeah. I can always tell when there's like northerners that move down here too, because when
Yeah.
we do get snow, a lot of southerners like freak out. Like we'll get a dusting and we're
Yeah.
depleting the supplies of milk and bread and all the things, and we're driving like 2 miles an hour when it's just
White
flurrying.
knuckle.
And I always can tell a northerner when they're just like zooming down the highway and they're just like unbothered and they're
It's
like, you guys
true.
are crazy.
Yeah, I will never understand that. But I like, because I have no problem driving in the snow. I don't know.
I don't like
You just get
it.
used
I
to
got
it.
used to it in the
Yeah.
mountains because I did have to drive in the snow and ice and everything, but I don't like it. It does scare me.
Have you heard that, like, if you collect snow water to water your plants, it's got like higher levels of nitrogen in it
No,
than like rainwater?
I've never heard that.
Something about the temperature, it like binds to the, yeah, I don't know. But then why are we collecting snow
Right.
water to water a
What are
garden in
you
the winter? But
growing?
I mean, it can be good, like, if your plants are getting insulated by it and then it slowly melts. But overall, not a huge benefit, I would think. But you need to get a rain
I
barrel for
I
sure. There's
do.
so many cute
I
ones.
know. I have my eye actually on a few, and one's like a
Yeah.
copper one.
Ooh,
It's very pretty,
nice.
and I definitely want that one. I just need to figure out where to put it because I have just absolutely crammed my backyard with so many plants, and I didn't plan enough in advance. There's spots of our house though that I've thought of using a rain barrel not just to conserve water, but whoever built our house, they did not grade it correctly, and we have a lot of problems with water pooling around our house. Like around the foundation. Like we live on a
Yeah.
slab, thankfully, but I've thought about a rain barrel just to deal with that situation, just so water doesn't pull up. But
So I have mine up against a corner that gets pretty heavily flooded in our basement. And what happens is, like, once the rain barrel starts overflowing, it like gushes. Like there's an
okay,
overflow spout, and it's almost like more water than it would be if it had just come out a regular downspout. Like it's weird. So I've had issues where if it's raining really hard, I intentionally open the rain barrel before it rains to try to like drain some of it out so the overflow isn't like as overflowy as fast.
okay.
Because yeah, like the water just pools around the rain barrel instead, and it's just a bigger problem.
Okay, that makes sense. One thing that I've been doing instead, that I think maybe I'll lean more towards this, is I've just been planting plants that really love water and they love to soak up water
Yeah.
and they thrive in damp environments. So one corner near our sunroom, which whoever built our sunroom, it's an add-on to our house. And it was there before we bought the house, but when we moved into this house, we realized that it wasn't built to code at all. Like there are
The
electrical
sunrooms never are.
never. Like, who is out here building these sunrooms? I want to know because everything was wrong. Like, we had someone come out and they were like, you shouldn't be having electrical wires running around the base of your sunroom. So it basically
Oh,
our sunroom was flooding because it wasn't graded
oh,
correctly. And then there's electrical running around the base. So like water coming into contact with electric wires, like
Good.
that's a fire hazard. That's just a hazard overall. We're going to be demolishing that and replacing it with something else. But anyway, there's a corner where the flooding tends to kind of pull up that I planted hostas and I planted colocasias, and it's helped dramatically with that. Like those plants are just sucking up the water, and they're also kind of, because the colocasia gets so big and it's like an elephant ear and it has these huge leaves. It's like creating a new kind of runoff. Like it's like protecting that corner, and then like the water's running off a different way off of the leaves. So it's
That's
actually been
amazing.
pretty brilliant, and I think I'm gonna just lean more into that around the other spots too, and just make like a rain garden basically. Yeah.
Brooke has a beautiful rain garden. Have you seen it?
I
I need to like
probably
steal all of her tips. Yeah, she's got a
Does she
really
have
cute
like a
rain
video on
garden.
it? A full video?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I'm
I'll have
pretty
to
sure
go
it's
look.
up on her Instagram somewhere.
I'll have to go look for that.
Yeah, it's really clever because I mean, we really should have her on for this episode because being in Texas, I think she deals with like the worst of the water issues. So
Really?
what? Why?
Oh, like no, I
Lot.
thought you were saying like it rains a lot there. You're saying
No,
okay, the
no.
opposite.
The
Okay,
opposite.
I was like
I'm like,
Texas?
it's dry in Texas, right?
No, I was thinking the opposite. I was like, wait, it rains in
Yeah, the
Texas?
way I worded that was weird. No, it does not rain in
Okay.
Texas. And I think her having a rain garden is like, that's the one wet corner. I wonder if it's even like a rain garden by what we would call a rain garden now that I'm thinking about it, or if it's just like comparatively to the rest of her garden, it's wetter. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, because like my rain garden just stays wet. Like it just stays wet.
Yeah.
24/7, basically.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in the shade as well. And hostas and colocasias do really well in the shade.
Have you ever eaten hostas?
Yes. I love hostas.
I keep forgetting to.
You have to do it in the early spring, right when they come up, like when they're still curled little shoots, and they taste like asparagus. They're really good.
That's amazing.
They're so good.
Yeah, I need to do that.
I have a huge hosta that I always harvest from. Obviously, you don't want to harvest from like a newly planted one because it like you are harvesting what would be leaves, but mine, I'm not even joking. It's like 6 feet across, like 6 feet in diameter.
What?
It's huge.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you need to try it. I guess the only other thing that I really do for water conservation would be mulching. I think both of us do that.
Yeah.
What mulch? I use wheat straw. What mulch do you? I know you're trying some different mulches this year.
I am experimenting and I'm having good results. So I use straw a lot in the past, especially in my in-ground beds. I don't generally mulch the elevated beds just because it gets tricky with like the soil needing to be potty mixed in some of them. I don't want to weigh it down. I've used leaf mold in the past really successfully, especially in containers. I find that it helps a lot with because containers dry up so fast. But this year I started experimenting with wool and it's working so well.
Really? That's what I was going to ask about.
Yeah. I it sucks because it's like I know it's hard for a lot of people to access. I just happen to have a lot of people giving me sheep's wool. This is just something that I've known for like I used to spin yarn, so send her the sheep. But yeah, no, it's really like once it locked down, because at first it was blowing around everywhere, which was very annoying. But it kind of like matted itself after it rained a couple of times and I watered it and it hasn't budged. It's really holding in that moisture. I don't have any weeds. I have no complaints.
So do farmers just have a bunch of extra wool to give away, or is it wool that they don't send off to turn into fiber, or?
Yeah, so about like 50% of all like wool that is created is not usable for various reasons. For textiles, it's not of the good quality, or they come from like meat sheep. Different wool has different kinks in it, different texture. And some of that spins into yarn better than others. So they end up just throwing it away. So people who keep sheep as livestock, they still have to shear those sheep so that they don't overheat. And that's just getting chucked. So if you have a resource there, that's pretty much like the main
You're making me want to try it. I'm going to start reaching out to some local farmers.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any sheep? I also need to source bunny poop. So I really need to befriend some farmers. Yeah, I really do. I want to try that. It seems very interesting and Like I want to know how it breaks down though. Like,
It doesn't. So that
okay.
is the downside, sort of. I think it's an upside.
Okay.
But it does take a really long time to break down. So if you put it in your compost, it's going to kind of slow down the composting process a lot.
Okay.
It's generally better in a bed that has perennial stuff in it, stuff that's going to be there the whole growing season, because it's also like so dense that you really can't like direct sow unless you like make an opening for where you're going to be direct sowing. It's not going to come up.
Okay. So there's some pros and
Yeah,
some
so I just
cons.
have it. I have it on my onion beds, and I put it on a couple grow bags that have my tomatillos in them just to experiment.
I usually just use wheat straw, although I really want to try hemp
Mm.
because I feel like there would be less weeds in hemp. Like I love wheat straw just because I love how it breaks down. I feel like it does make my soil better over time because it's improving the
Words are hard.
microbiome of the soil and just like the bug life and everything. Um, but I want to try hemp because hemp doesn't have seeds in it really, right? I don't know. I use hemp bedding for
No,
my
yeah.
chickens and
I was actually just Googling this yesterday because I had a bunch of those hemp mats that are for like microgreens. And I was wondering if you could just like put those on top of like a grow bag and use that as like a mulch. And
huh,
you can. And people
why
actually
not?
like
Yeah.
make, right, like it's like the bedding for chickens.
Yeah.
Like it's just like that. I've seen like bigger versions where people put it around their fruit trees. And that seems like a really good idea to me. But I was reading it breaks down faster than like anything else, which seems really odd to me because like the mats feel really dense and strong.
No, I
So I don't
wonder
know.
that too because I do use it for my chickens and I feel like it it breaks down in my compost because my compost is mainly chicken poop with hemp bedding. And I
Hmm.
feel like it does break down extremely fast. So yeah, I
Interesting.
wonder about that. I need to experiment with it. But so far, I used straw in all my beds this year, but I am picking out little wheat seeds like everywhere. But I feel like it's worth it because of how much it does help me conserve water. When you mulch, it's just so important because it's preventing evaporation. It's also preventing erosion of the top layer of soil. I actually had somebody comment on my harvest video the other day, and they were like, "Your soil is so loose and fluffy, but mine is so dry and crusty." And I commented back and I was like, "Do you mulch?" And they were like, "No." And I was like, "Well, that is why. That top layer of
Yeah.
soil, if there's not something protecting it, it's going to get dry and crusty." And I think the reason that my soil is so loose and fluffy is because it's being protected. And it just makes your soil so much better if you use a good mulch, like whatever mulch you decide to go with, to be honest. I really think it doesn't really matter that much at the end of the day, as long as you
Yeah.
just have something protecting the soil. And then it helps with water because it's keeping all of that moisture in.
And keeping the soil cooler too.
Yeah. Yeah, I there's a total difference if there's a bed without mulch and I water it. It's like I come back the next day. It just needs more water. But if you water a mulched bed and you come back the next day, it's still going to be moist and still going to be
Right.
holding that water. So mulch is very, very important. And that's why I had a lot of problems last year because last year I kind of slacked. Well, I was going through a cancer
You
diagnosis
were
and
a little
everything. I
busy.
was a little busy
Yeah.
with my health and I slacked so hard on just getting the mulch out there, and it really showed like with a lot of
Mm. Yeah.
stuff. And I already can notice that this year's garden is so much better than last year's. I think solely because I put more effort into
Wow.
mulching. Yeah.
I want to kind of play around with living mulch too, and maybe
Yes.
just kind of sow more lettuce seeds around
Yeah.
everything and arugula and do microgreens that way.
Lettuce is
I think that will really
amazing for
help.
doing that. I've done that
Yeah.
for before too. Just if you have any gaps in well, you can do both too. Like if you put a
True.
little layer of mulch, like maybe not like a huge thick layer, but just like a thin layer, and then you sprinkle lettuce seeds or like make a living
Yeah.
mulch, it's just 2 for 1. Lettuce is that's like my favorite filler crop because it's
Hmm.
just so easy. You just chaos sow it in any little space.
And it's pretty,
Yeah.
especially if you get like a mixed pack that has like all different types.
Yeah, the
A
mixed
lot of
varieties.
variety.
I do that with carrots too. Radishes,
Yeah.
beets, like anything that you can just chaos garden, just toss out.
Done kale as a microgreen, like living mulch kind of situation accidentally.
Yeah.
If it self seeds, it's going everywhere.
Yeah, dill, I get dill
Yeah.
is doing that for me this year
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
had one dill plant flower last year. There's dill
Mm.
all over my garden. Like,
You're gonna have so many
I
butterflies.
know, I'm so excited. I cannot wait to raise butterflies this year.
Oh my gosh,
I
it's gonna
really
be
hope I see the
amazing.
monarchs this year. I have so much
I
milkweed. I have
know.
multiple patches that are very established and mature now. And last year, I didn't see a single monarch. I haven't seen monarchs
I just had
in
one.
my garden since 2022. That was the last time I raised them.
It's a big problem, people. Plant
Yeah.
the milkweed,
Plant all the
please.
milkweed.
All right, friends, I think we're going to wrap it up there, but let us know in the comments what you're doing for water conservation in your garden. I'm sure there's many other amazing ideas that we missed. And as always, you can find us on TikTok and Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify podcasts. And we'll see you next time.